Hello. Welcome to an introduction to programming with Rust. We're going to be looking at the Hello World program in Rust. We're not going to do any coding just yet. We'll get to that in the next video. But I just wanted to break down Hello World kind of word by word just to give you a basic idea of what a program looks like in Rust. So Hello World is a classic kind of demonstration program for programming languages. It started back with the C programming language, I believe, when the book, the instruction manual for C, the first program, was Hello World, just like you see here. So with Rust, in Rust you always have, so first we have fn. So fn stands for function. It's used to declare a function, which just means, when you hear the word declare, it just means create. So you're creating a function. A function is basically this black box that you see on the screen. It's just a black box. It contains a chunk of code, any code. It can do anything. And you can use that so it can take input, like data that you see on the left here, and it can take data in, then it does some processing with that data and changes it, processes it, and then it spits it out. And so you can actually use this black box and give it all different kinds of data, and it'll process it as long as it can understand that data type, and it'll spit it out. Here's an example of a function, a chipmunk belly. Functions, you put nuts into it, right? You give it the data nuts, and this is what it would look like if it was a Rust program. And then it returns I just put a string here, but so it returns poo. So in the function, it adds nuts plus stomach acid, and that becomes poo, and that's what comes out of it. So what you can do is you can just put this function somewhere and assign it to a variable, which actually I'm getting way ahead probably because you have no idea what variables are. But basically you can get this value use this equation with a whole bunch of different values and use it anywhere in your program. It's very portable, and it's you'll see as we go throughout the course how useful functions can be. Main is the name that we give the function, and actually every program in Rust requires this main function. Everything in a Rust program runs inside this main function. Not everything inside it, but every program needs that main function. So what you see after the fn in any function is going to be the name that we're giving the function, and that's just what we can use that later on to run the function elsewhere in our code. Then in between these parentheses, we put the input parameters, which back in our chipmunk example was nuts, so that's where we're putting in something. And then the curly brackets, and then after the input parameters, you have this arrow thing, and that's whatever's coming out of the function after it does its processing. And then we have anything that's inside these curly brackets is what's going on inside the function. So in our function, we're not, in the Hello World function, we're not actually giving it anything. It doesn't need anything to do. It's just going to do this print line, which it kind of looks like a function. If you look at it, see how main, it says main, and then it has the brackets. Print line has the brackets as well with something in it. But the difference here is this exclamation point, and that means print line is a macro, which is similar to a function, and that's a more advanced topic that we'll talk about. We won't even cover that too much in this course because it's really pretty advanced, but you don't really need to know it at this point anyway. The println function takes this parameter, hello world, which is a string of text, and what it does is it takes that in, it does some processing on it, and it prints it to the console. So whenever you run this program, you end up seeing on your screen, you see hello world come out. And then we have here the string, like I said. This is actually a string slice because it's in quotes and it's recorded directly into the program. That's nitty-gritty stuff that you don't really need to worry about. Basically, it's a string, and we'll discuss data types in a later video here. And then after that, we have our semicolon, which is basically, it's like the period at the end of a Rust sentence. It indicates an expression is over and the next one's ready to begin. So whenever Rust sees this, it knows, after this, whatever's after this semicolon is not part of this line. It's a new sentence basically in Rust. And that's pretty much it with the Hello World program. One thing I did want to show you is you can actually, so let's look at variables just real quick, and we'll cover these more detail in the next video. So you can declare a variable with let, and our variable is h, and then you give it a value. So now this h has the value of hello world, and we can actually just feed that h into our println function, and that'll still print hello world. And so, as your programs get bigger and bigger, this becomes really useful, and it's a core concept in programming. So we'll cover that next. I did want to note, Rust is compatible with all operating systems. You can install it on Mac OS, Linux, and Windows, any flavor of Linux too. And I have videos on how to install it on each of those operating systems. So let's see. Yeah, so I'm going to be using Mac OS throughout this course in the videos, but it doesn't matter. You can use Windows, you can use Linux. The code that we're running is going to run on all of them. So yeah, that should be it. Yep, that's it. So thanks for watching. Hope you stick around for the next video, and peace out.